Okay, so you have an idea. Maybe you've had it for a while. Maybe someone told you that that idea you have, man, you need to go start a business and that thing clicked for you. Or maybe the idea's been circling for months and you're finally ready to do something about it. That is the correct energy that you need to have when you're getting ready to start your business. But before you click that button, I want to do something else. I need to ask you one simple question, and I need you to be honest with it. Do you have a business or do you have an idea? Those are not the same thing. The reason most new businesses fail in the first 2 years is not because the person was not smart enough or didn't work hard enough. It's because they built a business around an idea no one was willing to pay for. I don't want that to be your story. So, this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with this definition. I want you to write it down. A business is something that solves a specific problem for a specific person in exchange for money. Three parts: specific problem, specific person, money changes hands. If you cannot fill, or let me, you know what, let me change that. If you can fill in all the blanks of your idea, you might, and you notice I said you might have a business. If you cannot, you have a concept. But wait a minute, don't shrink back. A concept is a starting point. It's just not the destination. Okay? All right. I would love to tell you that after 30 years of working with in the airline industry, I was ready to step into business ownership and I was going to hit the ground running. Well, that's not the case because see, you have to back up because I did just like many of you have done. I had an understanding of running a business. I knew what, well, at least I thought I knew what it would take. I had a side business for most of the years that I was working. And it was a jewelry making business and it really did very well. But the problem was I didn't really have the foundation set up good. And I didn't realize it at the beginning. After I got married, I was busy doing my wifely duties and I enjoyed being married. I enjoyed doing the things that we do whenever we get married. So I let my business go by the wayside and years have passed. And then I decided, okay, I'd like to start another business. But I started to reflect and I really realized in my business that I had before, I really didn't take it serious. I really didn't have my books set up the way that I should have. I just really didn't have a solid foundation. And truth be told, I really didn't realize it when I was in it. It was when I came back around and I was ready to start up again. And I was like, okay, what steps do I need to take? La, 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 la. And I started doing it. And I realized I really didn't have my business set up correctly the first time. And a lot of times that's what happens whenever we start businesses. We start them because no one else around us actually is in business and we're kind of doing things. We go on the internet, we hear some things. If you have a business background, if you have a business degree, of course, you're going to know things much better than the average. But a lot of us start businesses and we just don't have a good foundation. And if without that foundation, you could, and that's why so many, well, let me stay, see that squirrel taken? This is where a lot of business owners mess up and you hear them get in trouble with their taxes and all of that because the foundation was not set up correctly. All right. Then when you get into wanting to take your business from a sole proprietor to an LLC, a lot of people get in trouble with that because they again don't have the foundation set up. They don't even know the bookkeeping that goes behind an LLC, and you start falling into uh, areas where you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. All right. So we want to make sure that things are set up correctly. But right now, we are talking about the business idea that you have. You woke up, you had an epiphany, and you're like, this idea will sell. Well, All right. Let's put a pressure test to that idea. These three questions will separate you from a business, a viable business, or an expensive hobby. Okay, so question number one: who is your business for specifically? I want you to put in the comments, who is your business for? Nah, no, not everyone, not women, not small businesses in general, but a real person, a real situation, a real problem that they're dealing with. So instead of saying, I have a business that I serve women. Okay, are they black women, Asian women, white women, Hispanic women? Are they 40 and over? Are they menopausal? Do they have this problem? Do they have that problem? You see how you start to begin to narrow it down? When you're thinking of your who you are selling your product, idea, service to, it has to be very narrow. You almost have to narrow it down to as if you were speaking to that one person every time you speak. So if you see a broad general, you're too wide. You got to bring it in. Okay? All right. Question two: what problem do they have that you are going to actually solve? Not the problem you think they should have, the problem that they're actually actively frustrated by and are already trying to fix it. They're out there searching the internet trying to figure out how to solve this problem. And question three, the most important one: would they pay for your solution? And how do you know that they will pay for your solution? Not would they say it's a good idea. It's would they exchange the money that they have in their pocket for your idea? Okay? All right? And most people stumble on question number three. And that's exactly why this next part of this lesson is so important. I want you to write your answers, and I want you to remember that as you go through and write down who your person is, what problem what problem you're solving, and would they pay, or would they pay money for your idea? I want you to understand that your answers are not your validation. They are your guideposts. All right? Your answers are not your validation. All right, I've got it all narrowed down, and this is who I'm selling to, and ba 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 ba. That's not your validation. It's your guidepost. Now, this is where the work comes in. Real validation is finding out whether a real person with a problem you described would actually pay for the solution you're offering. Here's the thing. We think validation means we have to have a website, we have to have a product, or we have to have a business entity, but really it requires conversation. Find 3 to 5 people, real people, who have problems with what you describe. Not people who you might think that may know someone who has it, but the actual people who you think will have this problem. All right? Of those 3 to 5 people, I need you to reach out to one of them. Just one. First of all, I need you to really find 3 to 5 people and then find that one. And that might be kind of difficult because then you're going to begin to see that, oh, there's really not a lot of people with this issue that I know. Or you might be able to see, like, oh, wow, I really do know quite a few people with this issue. So now you can kind of pick up a little bit more momentum, and you might want to take it to asking 2 or 3 people to see what their answers are. And when you're with this person that you're reaching out to this week, I want you to spend more time listening and even let them know, ask them, can you record the conversation? because you might miss some things, but in recording it, you're going to hear all the areas where this person, this is your audience who you're going to be talking to, they what they need, they're telling you what they need. So now you're no longer building from what you think they need. Now you're building from what they need and what they would pay for. You see that? You see how it changes it? So find that one person, reach out to them this week, tell them what you're building in one sentence. Most of you have a paragraph. You probably have two paragraphs before you even get to what you are selling, your idea. I need you to break it down again, and then break it down again into one sentence. Just one. All right. Then ask them two questions. Does this sound like the problem you actually have? Because you might be just off a hair, and if you're off a hair, you're missing your audience. All right? So they may say, "Well, no, really what it is bop 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 bop." All right? So now you're getting a better idea of how you need to make sure that your idea solves this problem, okay? And then the next question you want to ask them is, if I could solve that, if I could solve your issue, would you pay for that? Do not try to pitch to them. You're coming to them for information. Do not try to sell to them. Just ask those two questions and listen. All right? That's it. Stop. Period. Thank you so much for your time. This is really going to be helpful for me. And, move on. Don't even say, "Hey, I'm going to reach back out to you in XYZ days." Move on. All right. Now, what I want you to do, hey, you know what? I'm going to put a prompt in the comments. This prompt will help you begin to solidify, hone in, fine tune the idea, the offer. Your idea is your offer. So when I say offer, I'm really saying your idea. If I say idea, I'm really saying your offer, okay? But it will help you fine tune your offer. This prompt can go in Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini, whichever one you use. It doesn't matter which one you use. Whichever one you're familiar with, it can go in all of them, okay? Once you put the prompt in, it will walk you through a few questions because it has to understand what it is you're doing. And then it will ask you questions, but it will also help you see if you're still too broad. It will help you bring it in. It will help you hone in on the problem that you solve and what that will look like on the other side for your client. What type of results will they get from what it is you're offering? Okay. All right. Now, this is a starting point and it'll get you moving. All right. But I need to be really honest with you about something about AI. If it has not been trained, it's going to give you a general answer. So the reason why I'm not going to show it here is because mine has been trained. And so when it gives me answers, it's giving me answers based off of all the years that I have been putting into my back end of my AI setup, whichever AI I'm using. I use two of them quite often, and the third one I use every now and then. But they know me. It understands my background. It understands my business and how I have things set up and the way I talk. So I don't want to drop it in because it's going to give results that you will not get if you put this prompt in. Okay. But it will ask you questions. And even though this prompt is good, it's not going to push back. It's it's going to give you results, but it won't push back on your answers. It's gonna go, attaboy. Keep going. And I know that. I know what it's gonna do, okay? It will not tell you if your offer has a ceiling and it doesn't match your income goals. It will let you know that your idea, it'll help you fine tune your idea, okay? That's all it's going to do. All right. It will not walk you through the confidence checks that tells you whether you're actually ready to take this offer to a real person or whether it still needs work. And why do I know that? Because I actually went through that. I use these prompts. Well, I'm going to give you one, but I use this prompt to get me started when I was like making sales, but the sales were really not coming through the way I needed them to come through. And if you listen to the first video, I told you that I had after the jewelry business and when I retired, I started another business and I really thought it was phenomenal. I still think it's a phenomenal idea. But when I started my series of prompts and I started working through them and I got to a point where I was like, but is this really a viable business? And baby, when it broke that thing down, my feelings were hurt, honey. My feelings were hurt. But what it did do is it was able to understand who I am, what my credentials are, and what my offer really should be. You see that? It sometimes we're right at the door, but this door can't open because there's something back there blocking it. And so, if you don't know what's on the other side said, hey, when you open up this door, I really need you to go right, but not left. And sometimes we take the wrong turning point, we take the wrong fork in the road, and we're going down this venture, and it really cannot do what we expected it to do because it has a ceiling. Remember, I told you yesterday that this prompt was able, or this tool that I'm going to offer, was actually able to tell me you have a good idea. However, your idea will not be viable for a sustained income. Yeah. So sometimes our ideas are good. It would be great for a hobby. If I was still working and I had, the money coming in and I just wanted some extra money, it would be a great offer. But if I want something that's going to sustain me for years, it let me know it cannot do that. If everybody had a resource like that, do you know how much time we would save? We wouldn't spin our wheels on ideas and offers that really cannot go anywhere. It's not that they're not good, but they just can't do what it is that you want them to do as far as a business owner. So even if you're already in business and you feel like there's this point where it just feels like the business is stagnant, take what you do and drop it into this resource, and it will show you where your bottlenecks are. Yeah, it will show you what you need to look at to actually cause it to excel. I mean, it is phenomenal. All right. So, it's called the First Offer Tool. I'll have the link in the description. Whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're in the actual Learning Hub, just take your time, go through that prompt. And if you feel like you need to go a little bit deeper, this tool is out here for you. If you are already in business and you feel like maybe I need to drop my actual offer, my actual business plan in there and watch it really expand your business plan and tell you what areas that this is where you're dragging, this is where you need to do X, Y, and Z. It is a phenomenal tool. It really should be worth it actually is worth more than what I have it at, but I don't try to gouge people with these tools. I just know that they work because I've been using them. And it's not something that I just put together yesterday afternoon. I have been using this tool and others have been using this tool, and it's really been beneficial. All right. So don't forget to download the workbook that's attached to this lesson. Answer the 3 questions. Have at least one real conversation with someone who has the problem you're trying to solve, and write your 1 sentence offer down before you go to sleep tonight. All right. Because day 2 is where we take that sentence and we're going to sharpen it until the right person reads it and says, that's me. All right. So don't forget, drop your idea in, because this is where you're getting ready to formulate. This is how this 1 sentence offer is getting ready to come out of that. Drop it in that prompt And if you feel like that prompt is still being a little bit too loose, it's still being too agreeable with you, if you want to, just go ahead and get the first offer and drop it down into that GPT, and it's just going to amaze you what you get and how different it is from just the prompt. All right, so I will see you in the next video. All right, and we're going to go on over to module number 3. All right, see you there. Let's go. Bye.